I started my YouTube channel 5 months ago, and finally I was able to convince my son, Vedic, to appear on this podcast as a guest. He's a National Merit finalist, and he's studying his computer science from University of Florida, Gainesville. He got 100% scholarship that covers his education as well as residence. So Vedic, tell the audience who you are, what you do.
So I'm currently a sophomore at the University of Florida. I'm studying computer science and intending to go the pre-med route. And apart from that, I do some extracurricular activities around campus. I'm in a research lab. I am part of a club, iGEM, and a few other things here and there, but mostly that's it.
Let's start with how did you select that you want to do computer science or pre-med?
I think one part of knowing what you have to want to do is trying it out. So for computer science, it's mostly you take a class on it and you see if you like it or not. You can pretty much, even with the basics of computer science, you can like understand what it's going to be around the logic, that sort of understanding, and that can help you decide whether you like it or not. And then as for pre-med, it's somewhat similar. I'd say shadowing doctors, volunteering at hospitals, that kind of stuff can tell you pretty fast whether you would like that or not.
So initially, I believe in the middle school and high school, you wanted to join aeronautics, and then to computer science, and now medical, right? So what that journey look like?
Well, I've always liked computer science. Aeronautics in middle school I liked a lot. And then I did computer science thinking it would be like a combination of engineering and computer science. And then pre-med was always in the back of my mind, but it was really after shadowing doctors and volunteering on hospitals that I thought, yeah, I like this. So I'm doing computer science as well because I like combining my computer science knowledge with pre-med, and that's often what I do in, for example, clubs or research labs. It's very involving of both fields, and I like that interdisciplinary field.
There's a typical norm about Indian parents that they're typically tough on kids for the grades and all. Tell about yourself. How did you handle that?
For well-being purposes, I'd prefer not to answer this. I think it's important for you to have some sort of pushing force that makes you want to get those high grades and do well, because although like your grades in middle school won't matter for college admissions, it's still a good place to like develop good habits and kind of practice for when you're in high school and college, because those good habits, the earlier you develop them, the better.
Speaking about that, let's talk about one of your teacher. We won't name her, but a math teacher who was really tough. She always said that if you can survive this, it will help you in the college. So did that really happen? Did it help you?
A lot of those concepts, learning them early and learning them in an environment that was so high stress and like on top of it, actually like first of all helped develop good habits, but also we would end up using that many times.
The next topic is for a college admission. You need grades, you need SAT score, you need extracurriculum activities. So let's talk about that. What was going in your mind when you was in high school and preparing for the college?
So As you said, you need grades, extracurricular, and then test scores. So obviously you want to get all of those as high as possible. For grades, that's pretty simple. Just do as well as you can in classes. For SAT scores, I actually wrote an article that you should check out.
I will hyperlink it, okay?
And then for extracurriculars, it's best to select one or two things that you really like instead of doing like 50 things but only like doing a little bit of each. Select one or two things that you really like and try to make like a big impact on that. And I think that really helps with college admissions, and also since you really like them, you're actually going to want to do them instead of just doing it for a line item on a resume.
Okay, so we will come back to extracurriculum activity. Going back to SAT class, you have done a self-study, you've done SAT Orlando classes, you have done some of the classes outside. What helped you most?
Definitely self-studying is the number one thing to do. Khan Academy offers a lot of resources for free, and I think the best practice you can do is just go through their practice exams and then their practice problems, and more than anything else, that's going to help you. And the best thing is that, once again, it's free. It's not going to cost you any money.
And I believe in 11th grade as well as 12th grade, before the exam, you was doing one exam every week from the textbook and also from online.
Yeah. That sort of practice is quite important. And if you run out of like SAT, because I think there's only 8 officially released SAT practice tests, but there are other resources. In addition, there's also ACT practice tests, which are pretty similar to the SAT, so that can be good practice as well. And then obviously the Khan Academy practice problems.
And then the last question on this, you got National Merit finalist. How that happened? What's the procedure for that?
In 10th grade, you're going to take a practice PSAT, so a practice SAT. In 11th grade, you take the real PSAT. And the score would vary depending on your state and the year and everything, but usually for most states and most years, it's around higher than a 1470 out of a total 1520. If you get that like sort of score, then you can be selected to advance as a national merit semifinalist or nominee, and then they ask you to submit your extracurriculars and a few other things, and of them they then select national merit finalists, semifinalists, and finalists. And I think if you're selected as a semifinalist, then at least in Florida, most schools in Florida will give you full tuition, so that is nice to have. But once again, it's just a matter of doing well on the PSAT.
Moving to extracurriculum activities, you did a couple of them. Which one was the major that you submitted?
For me, it was robotics. I served on a robotics team for 4 years. I always had fun with that. Had some good competitions. We went to Worlds a few times, and I would recommend first robotics for people who are interested in computer science or engineering, or even not any of those, but even business, or there's a little something for everyone. So that's good, but once again, I wouldn't advise anyone to just do some extracurricular because I did it. Try to find something you're interested in, because the important thing is not what you pick, but how much of an impact you make.
What other activity you did other than robotics?
Other than robotics, I did a few other clubs around campus. I also, this is related to robotics, but I helped create a robotics team at my school, because my school didn't have one at the time, and we just helped the team go through, register for first, that kind of stuff. So mainly just, and then I also was part of NHD and BPA, which were NHD was a National History Day, just a club where you make a project on some historical event relating to a theme, and then BPA is a presentation you make for something related to business. So these kind of things, more than anything else, were good. First of all, good ways to spark your interest, and also if you can like go far on them, achieve something, then that's also good for your applications as well. And then forming a club, founding a club, that kind of stuff, that's also good for your resume. That shows leadership and initiative.
Robotics, you did it for 4 years. And one of the things that I still remember in your first year, somehow you found that team needs somebody to ensure that batteries are charged. And in the first competition or second competition, you picked that work, and that immediately recognized you as part of the team, as part of somebody who is contributing. So how did you find that this is something that you could do and contribute to the team?
So I think in your first year in any club, you're not going to know a lot. You're probably not going to be able to do too much, but it's important to just like find one basic thing, like charging batteries and preparing batteries. That's not very hard. It's mostly just paying attention and everything, but either way, it's still some way to make a contribution to the team, and once you start doing that, then you can go on to helping out in other ways. So it's mostly just finding like something, even if it's basic or simple, that you can help out on, and then in your later years, once you get more experience, you can actually start helping out even more.
And then from there, next year, your interest grew tremendously. So how that happened?
So I think once you start being put in more positions of responsibility and start working more, then your interest will grow, because you're not doing just like, you're not watching people, but you're actually helping out. So once I actually started to help on the building and the actual building of the robot, then I was a lot more interested, because now I actually had a purpose. And so once you achieve that, then the interest will be in yourself, and you won't like be looking for things to do, because you'll have responsibility to do stuff.
And what was your last year, final year in robotic looks like?
So my last year, I was co-captain of the team, and so I was also team lead builder, and so at that point it was not just building for myself, but also helping newer members who were like me in my freshman year, and maybe giving them like a small thing to do, just so they could help out and learn, so that when I left the team, at least there would be people to pick it up after me.
What was your best moment in robotics for 4 years?
My best moment was probably during the competitions, was probably my favorite part, because we got to see how our hard work like paid off, and also compared to other robots, and ultimately that was just fun. It was also sometimes stressful, but it was ultimately fun. We won the Inspire Award at the World Competition. We got to go out in a big stadium and receive the award, and it was pretty fun.
You have two coaches, Mr. Prasad and Mishri. Who you love most?
I plead the fifth. Who do you like more, me or Shrishti?
Ye chances. Let's move to your college admission. You applied to many colleges. What was your top preference?
So I had a few top preferences. They were hard to get into schools like MIT or Ivy Leagues, those kind of schools, they were obviously very difficult to get into, and I didn't end up getting into them, which wasn't like too unexpected because their acceptance rates were so low. But it's important that when you're applying to like schools that have acceptance rates under like 10-15%, that you apply to, first of all, a lot of them. You have a safety school in mind that you know you're going to get into, and be prepared to get rejected from most of them, because even if you have like everything else perfect, they in the end they have just too many applicants. So unless you're like a good fit, they're probably going to reject you no matter what. So it's important to like keep that in mind.
So how did you handle the emotionally when you was not picked by MIT, which is your, I believe, best?
Well, once again, as I said, they have too many applicants. Sometimes it just comes down to fit of how well you fit into a school. So it's important not to take that kind of stuff personally, because ultimately sometimes it is a bit of a just luck based, what an admissions officer likes. For the most part, just try to come up with the best application you can, and beyond that, it's out of your hands.
So you was okay emotionally?
Yeah.
Between Georgia Tech and UF. So how did you make that choice?
Ultimately, I was getting beneficial from UF, which, as I said, covers all of my tuition, while I'd have to be paying out-of-state tuition for Georgia Tech. So the cost factor definitely was the biggest thing in pushing me to UF. But in addition to that, UF did offer a lot of good opportunities and programs such as honors program and research scholars. And so ultimately I just decided that all of those things would end up encouraging me more UF than Georgia Tech.
You've been there for almost 2 years now. Are you still okay with your decision? You ever regret that you made a wrong choice?
I think I'm pretty okay with my decision. I like UF. It's nice. The campus is a bit drab, but other than that, I like the environment, the people, and I think it's a good education. And ultimately, I also think that for the most part, no matter where you go, your education will be similar. So it's more important to look at other factors like your fit, what opportunities outside of school that you'll be provided, as well as just what campus you like more, and obviously cost as well. And I think UF does offer a lot of research, which I was interested in. So I think I'm happy with UF.
How do you manage your finance?
I have a finance manager who manages my expenses and everything for me.
How do you do your...
And he works for free.
Investing?
Oh, I also have an investment manager. Coincidentally, the same person. He also works for free.
How do you manage your studies?
Not worry for most of the semester, just the day before the test, cram and everything, and study all at once. Just, that's a joke. Don't do that. Do the opposite of that. You'll want to spread out your studying, because unlike in high school and college, you can't really study the day before the test. It's not going to end up well, because there's just so much content that it's best to study, like review everything after class instead of trying to do it the day before.
So you have a class, and then by next day you try to do the homework and everything.
Yeah.
Assignments. Do you maintain any kind of schedule, any application? How do you manage your time and all?
Sometimes I make lists, checklists, but apart from that, I rely on Canvas's calendar to keep me updated of upcoming deadlines, but I don't have a dedicated like schedule or application.
How are you planning what you will be doing 2 years from now? For example, what do you want to do next?
So I think next year I'll be getting ready for taking the MCAT, and then also beyond that applying to schools. So I think that's my goals for the foreseeable future. And obviously keep up with everything else, be that my coursework, my extracurriculars, labs, all of that.
So, last few questions. One, what's your hobbies?
I like to read, play chess, and then occasionally when I have free time, play games. But apart from that, no.
That occasionally mean Friday night from 11 p.m. to 4 a.m.
11 p.m.
Yeah, every night. So during the weekend, that's his schedule. You have a lot of knowledge and experience with college admission. If anybody, any audience, if they want to reach out to you,
Yes, I will be happy to answer any questions, either in the comments or any other medium.
whether you don't use Facebook, you don't use Twitter, you barely use WhatsApp, how do you keep yourself away from these?
Mostly, I mean, if I need to contact someone, I can text or Snapchat. Apart from that, I've never used them, so I don't really feel the need to. Plus, I hear that often they just waste time.
Okay, so what is your message to the audience?
Once again, as I've been saying, just try to keep on track. It's best to start, if you're preparing for college, it's best to start early. Even in your freshman year, just get a plan. You don't have to do everything immediately the moment you start in freshman year, but it's good to get started early.
Thank you so much for finally coming on my show. It's very hard to convince your own family. So thank you so much, Vedic. I think this will be a great episode for anybody who is preparing for in high school or even in the college. And typically that brings some connections, similar-minded people, okay?